Hello, are you using any of the AI tools, be it from Anthropic, Cloud AI, or maybe Gemini, right? Or maybe ChatGPT, the most famous one. So all of them have this box common, right? So this is your way to get interact or get access to the LLM large language models. So with this we get all the output. So what is this place? This is the place where we write some input, and that input is called prompt. So it's important to understand some basics so that you can design good prompts. In this video we'll understand all those basics, so let's begin. So if you're coming first time to my channel, do subscribe to it. There is a playlist for GitHub Copilot by which I have shown how you can use AI for automation, right? And if you have never done automation, this 6 videos can help you understand much part of it. And there is a series of cloud and AI. Let's come back to the topic. So I've created this mind map to understand the concepts. Let's focus on what it is. So it is a process by which we can give clear instructions to AI system so that we can get the output which is functionally, syntactically and contextually correct. So what does all this means? So contextually means, right, most of the time whenever you ask any coding or automation problem, you will see that the code generally comes in Python, right? So but you want it in the maybe probably in Java or C Sharp or some other language, right? I have even covered a separate video by which we can customize ChatGPT, by which you can give some pre-instructions which will be considered with each of your prompt, right? So we have to give input so that we get the contextually, and the output that it gives, it should be working, plus functionally also it should be working. So if you copy paste that code, or if you try to implement whatever instruction it is giving, maybe you are asking a simple question about your Aadhaar card as well, right? So it should be correct in all the three ways. So this is the most important part, the four principles which you should consider, and this is the core or essence of this video, right? So what is the first principle of the 4S is single. So give only one task at a time, right? So for example, write a test case for login page with valid credentials. I could have asked that prepare a code and also add, let's say, prepare a CI pipeline also for it, right? Maybe with the help of agent mode, right? I can say that even run this code. So these are, then it will not be a single task, right? So we should give a single task and then we can keep on adding stuff. Maybe firstly I get the perfect 10 cases, right? Then I might ask it to write the code for them, and then I might ask it to, let's add pipeline or add a git ignore file. So at a time try to give a single task so that it can focus and give you better outputs, right? Also be specific, like what you want. Just like in the previous example, I said that we need in Java, Python, or C Sharp, or maybe in a BDD format or whatever format, right? Also, for example, let's say I want to implement a factorial program, right? But I want it via recursion, right? So if you don't mention recursion, what will happen is it will create a program, then you realize, okay, recursion is also needed. So this something which is a part of a single task, you can give it, right? So that's what specific means. Also it should be to the point, right? Don't add things which does not make sense, right? Like in engineering, for a 10-mark question we keep on adding stuff, right? Make it a 5 pages answer. Don't do that. So here definitely we are not taking 5 pages, but don't add stuff which does not make sense. For example, I want to create a PPT which I will present to my family or something, right? If you want to give a context, okay, that maybe to some architect, they have a certain role, I want it to be technically strong, those kind of points you can mention. But let's say I'll present it in the evening or in the night or things like that which does not maybe matter, right? Don't add those things, right? Maybe make it short, right? What is surround? Surround is that give the context properly, right? What is needed? This can be understood in a better way via VS Code. Let me open VS Code. So if you see, this is being covered in the GitHub Copilot series where I have told that how we can make use of AI. So this is a program I have written with the help of MCP server, right? Let's not bring that into picture, but here if you see that on the right side corner, so there is an option to add context, right? So if I want to ask a question about this file, because there are so many files in my solution, I want to know only about this file. So AI automatically adds whatever is currently open, but you can still give additional context to it, right? For example, let me select these 4 lines. I want to optimize these 4 lines. So what I can do is here, if you see, there is an option that comes over here that I can say selection, right? So if I do selection automatically, if you see that 18 to 21 is coming, now I can say that optimize, right? So now what it will do is it will focus on this. If I talk about ChatGPT in the same context, I can do this plus, and maybe if you have a file, you have a markdown file by which you want to explain about your project, you can click that and add that as a relevant thing, right? So somebody was selling me this plan from HDFC, right? So that is also an important use case, right? So these days banks will try to sell everything and anything, and I asked it to analyze this, and it told me that there are various charges that the banks are charging on this plan, right? Just an example, right? So this is the surround thing. So we have understood the 4 principles, right? Single, specific, short, surround. So try to follow this to get better instruction. Now moving on to get the better output. So this is very important, learning, right? So what is learning in this? So whenever we are passing a prompt, sometimes we can pass it an answer as well, right? So for example, let's say what is zero shot, when I don't tell how the output should look like, okay, or how to process this information. Basically you don't provide any example that how maybe a particular format you want or a particular way you want the output. So that is called as zero shot learning, where LLM will decide that what kind of output it want to give. In one shot learning, you give an example. Let's say I want to convert some temperature. This is 117, and let's say in Celsius it is 20 degrees C. And I want that output should come in this way: 117 and arrow and 26. So what I will say is convert the following temperatures into degree Celsius, and the output should look like 117 20 C, right? So then whatever is the list you have given, it will give the output like this, okay? Or maybe a particular table format or whatever format, right? Or maybe you want to explain a particular concept. So where you give few examples or maybe one example, it is called one shot learning. When you try to give more than one examples, right? So then it is called as few shot learning. Okay, so for example, see, LLM knows that what is good morning, good evening, right? But I want to tell him that, okay, if the time is before 12, it is good morning. If it is before 4, it is good afternoon. And maybe I have given him a letter, and maybe I have asked that, okay, add these values, and I have given some examples that, right, follow this pattern to learn and then implement it, right? So that is called as few shots learning. If you give only one example, then it is called one shot. If you don't talk about any output or like how it has to give, then it is called as zero shot learning. So you can make use of this again to get a better output. Combine all these things together, like learning, these 4 principles, right? So that would be really useful, right? Moving on. So there are various kinds of prompt, right? You can even divide it again, like I have read it from somewhere, but yeah, if you will read it from somewhere, there may be more. Sometimes we ask a direct question like how to implement bubble sort, right? So in this case, it will give you a list of instructions that, okay, you can maybe probably take 2 arrays, right? Go through that and swap the nearby elements which are adjacent, right? You have to go, and there could be various ways, right? Based on various complexities will come. There could be a code related questions where we are asking it, give us a code which can generate a factorial, right? We can be specific by giving that, okay, we want it by recursion or maybe other ways, right? So that's why even in the age of AI, you should know that what are the possibilities, right? So because it can give me an algorithm which can have a complexity of n square, right? But probably I can make it better and reduce it to n log n, but I should know these concepts. Then only I'll ask AI to make it better. If I don't know, then whatever is the first output, I'll implement it, right? So that is a problem also. So the basics we should always understand, whatever technology and anything that comes, right? Some questions are open-ended. For example, you started with what are the best practices for coding, and then you can further ask, okay, how can I implement it? Or maybe those which are specific to automation, right? It might give you dry and other principles, and some of them So this is general, but some things might be exclusive to automation or that can be applied to automation in a better way. So those things would come. And this concept is also called as chain prompting, right? Where you start with one question and then you keep digging and digging, right? I think it allows up to going till 30 questions or up to whatever is the limit in your free account, right? So we should do like that, and this way we can follow the 4S principle as that, right? We start with a single prompt and which is specific, which is short, which is surrounded, right? And we keep on asking questions and making the best output of it, right? Some are contextual prompt, just like we saw in the VS Code where we gave a file along with it, right? So that is specific to what you have given. In this case, you are asking direct question. Here you are asking specific to code, and here there are open-ended questions, right? So yeah, these are the different kind of questions that can be there. Now coming on to how it works, right? So whenever you type a prompt and if you give a context, it will add it, right? This context can be passed via some custom instructions, right? And like in GitHub Copilot, we have seen we can create a file called as copilot instructions.md. In ChatGPT, there is a place by which you can do that. You can check out the video in the description to do that, right? If you don't give, then only prompt will get transferred. How it goes? It go via HTTPS protocol, right? And context are the files that are open or wherever is your cursor, right? Or if you're giving it, so these things will get passed. And initially, like content filtering will happen, right? It will remove any personal data, right? Because if I'll say that, okay, I'm Gaurav and I know this, that, like till the time it reaches LLM, these data is removed so that it is not get entered, and there could be some biases, right? There could be some things that get stored, my privacy, my personal data, right? So all of that get removes. Even if you are trying to generate a hate speech or something which can cause problem in the society, right? That's why we have something called as responsible AI that also I have covered. There are 6 principles, right? So that it is safe, it is private, privacy is there, right? It is generating, there is no bias in the output. So all of that is taken care, right? Otherwise people will start blaming, okay, AI is giving more preference to this region or that kind of people because of the training data that has been added into it, right? So there is this filtering happen. Similarly, the context that we have passed, that is also analyzed, and again the output comes back via HTTPS going through the LLMs, right? So this is the way it works at a high level. Now to summarize what we have studied, and you must remember it, right? Start with a general thing, what you want to do, and then dig deep and follow that prompt chaining, right? Avoid ambiguity. For example, this kind of prompt, and then you specify, okay, because here you have not mentioned which framework, which tool you want to use, Selenium, Playwright, WebDriver, IO, right? And which framework, TestNG, Java, language, and all of that. So those things you can be mentioned to get a specific output, right? To not waste time. So when I say start generic, does not mean that this much generic, right? If you are looking for a particular thing, you can add certain things to it, right? Always break down complex tasks. For example, let's say I want to create an app using AI, right? Then I can maybe divide that and say that, okay, do one step at a time. If you tell that, then and give a list of instructions, let's say 10 instruction, and say that do one instructions at a time and make sure that it is passing and it is working, then only move to the next instruction. So that also you can do. Give the context, because that is most important. That's what we humans have, like we are working on so many projects for so many years, months, so we carry a lot of context with us, so that we have to pass to AI to get better input output. So yeah, these are the things which are there in GitHub Copilot and other AI agents which I can show you. For example, in VS Code, if I will press a /, right, you will see this clear save command, etc. is coming. If I give a hash, so these are the various things that are coming, right? Whether I want to do terminal, I want to see problems, VS Code API, right, GitHub repo, right? Some of these things are coming from MCP server, right? If you see here, MCP server Playwright is installed, but others are part of what is being given by the AI agent side. We can provide examples so that we can get the output that we want. So hope you understood all the concepts and you'll try to implement. If anything is missed, do let me know. If anything is wrong, I'll be happy to correct it. I'll share this mind map as well, a link where this is published. Hope you like it, and if so, please subscribe to my channel, leave a like and comment on this video. Thank you for watching.